My exhaust is securely mounted, connected tightly. Checking for loose and missing clamps. I'm checking for damage and leaks such as rust and carbon soot. I'm making sure there's no crack, holes, or severe dents. And I'm following my up my turbo. I'm following up to my turbo. I'm tubing up to my turbo. Alright, make sure you guys can speaker as well. Alright. Okay. My turbo is securely mounted, not leaking. My engine hoses are not cracked, worn, frayed, or leaking. My alternator is securely mounted. All wires are securely fastened. It is belt driven. My belt is not cracked, worn, frayed, or loose fibers. If I push the belt by hand, it should deflect no more than 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. If it does, it's excessive. This belt is snug. It's going around to the other side. My coolant, adequate level. My engine hose is not cracked, worn, frayed, or leaking. My coolant, my water pump is securely mounted. It's not loose or leaking. It's belt driven. Belt is not cracked, worn, frayed, or loose fibers. If I push the belt by hand, it should deflect no more than 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. If it does, it's excessive. This belt is snug. My oil, I'll pull it out and check it. I'm gonna make sure it's above the refill mark and safe operating range. My engine hose again, I'm checking for condition of leaks, making sure it's not cracked, worn, frayed, or leaking. My power steering fluid, I'm checking the sight glass, make sure it's at proper level above the refill mark. My steering hoses, or I'm checking for damages or leaks. My steering box, I'm making sure it's securely mounted, not leaking, no missing nuts or bolts. My steering leakage, my arm rod and arm leaking rod connected from the box to the wheel is not worn or cracked. My joints and sockets are not worn or loose, no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter pins. All right, my air compressor is securely mounted, not leaking, and is gear driven. My power steering pump, I'm gonna follow that hose from this box. It's securely mounted, not leaking, and it's gear driven. My shock absorber, securely mounted, not leaking. My spring mounts and my hangers, my brackets, bolts, bushings are all in place. My spring hangers not cracked or broken, and my bushes are not missing or damaged. My brake hoses, my leaf springs are not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. My U-bolts are not broke, loose, and missing. Bolts, including the U-bolts. My brake hose is not cracked, worn, frayed. All couplings and fittings are secure, not leaking, and it can supply air. My brake chamber is securely mounted. There's no dent, cracks, and leaks, and no loose or missing clamps. My slack adjuster push rod is securely mounted. It's not bent, broke, loose, missing parts. If brakes are released and pulled by hand, it shouldn't move no more than approximately 1 inch. My brake drum is not cracked, holes, or dents, no loose or missing bolts. My brake line is not worn dangerously thin. There's free of contaminants such as grease or oil. Then I check everything, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna check my inflation, proper tire inflation using a tire gauge. I make sure my condition, no cuts or damage to my sidewall, and my tread is evenly worn. I make sure my tread depth is a minimum of 432. My rim is not bent or damaged, no welding rim hairs, no rust trails indicating that my rim may be loose from the wheel. My valve stem and cap, make sure it's not missing, broken, or damaged. I'm gonna check my lug nuts, make sure it's all present. There's no rust around, there's no cracks radiating, and there's no distortion of the boat hose. My hub oil seal, make sure it's at adequate level and not leaking. Then I'm gonna get here to this light, it's clean, not missing, not broken, proper color. I'm gonna make sure my door opens and closes properly, there's no damages. I'm gonna check my mirrors, my external mirrors, and my internal mirrors. They're secure, not damaged, and free of excessive dust. My door hinges are secure. My door seal is intact. I got a fire extinguisher properly charged, and it's secure, it's securely mounted and properly charged. I'm gonna open this door. I got extra spare fuses. I got 1, 2, 3 reflective 1-inch triangles. All right, my fuel tank is securely mounted. My cap is tight. There's no leaks, and there's no leaks at the bottom. All right, then I'm gonna go here to my longitudinal frame. My longitudinal frame, there's no cracks or bends. My cross members not cracked, bent, broken, loose, or missing. My drive shaft is not twisted, cracked, or bent. My U-joints up here at the end of this appear to be secure and free of foreign objects. I have a torsion bar going right across here. It's securely mounted, not damaged. My air connectors are sealed in good condition. My glad hands are locked in place and free of damage. My electric connectors firmly seated, locked in place from the trailer to the tractor. My airlines are not worn, taped, tangled, spliced, pinched, dragging the tractor parts, crimped, chafed, or cracked. And my electric connectors, the same thing, not worn, taped, tangled, spliced, pinched, dragging the tractor parts, crimped, chafed, or cracked. And my electrical installation is not cut. All right, all this is going to repeat here. I'm not going to repeat those. You stop right there. All right.